Welcome, welcome everybody to another Community Fit, and in particular, a midweek desk stretch. I am your host, James. Pardon me. And obviously, I'm not here live with you. I am sending you a recording because it is my birthday. So happy to be with you here, recorded asynchronously, virtually, but here nonetheless. If you've been with us for the totality of this class, you know that historically we've kind of taken um, requests. And with that, we've built up a library of tools for you to use. And during the month of June, I'm giving you a library of tips, tricks, things that I think are pretty worth considering. So the first week of June, we kind of covered bottom up and some gut stuff and how all of that influences movement patterns. Last week, we covered sensation as a movement pattern motivator. So we've gone from bottom up to top down. And this week, I thought we would start in the middle, and in particular with joints in the middle. So we're going to have a lot of spinal mobility, visceral organ, like from here to here sort of stuff. Now, I tell you that because often people come with an ache, a pain, a want somewhere else in their body. So they're like, oh, I've got a foot thing going on, or a jaw thing, or a wrist thing, or a shoulder thing going on. And sometimes it feels like, well, how is moving my spine or working on alternate lung breathing really going to help that wrist issue? But through exploration, we often find that they do, because not every ache and pain is like something you did wrong. Not every ache and pain is something that can be stretched out. A lot of these aches and pains and movement stuff is coming from nervous system stuff or referential, meaning the body to move in sort of a wonky way. So I'm just telling you that as an invitation for you to pay attention as we explore and play today, what shifts and changes, not just where we're explicitly working, right? Not just in the spine or in the ribs or in the lungs or wherever else it is we end up working today, but what changes in the totality of your body, and what from this sort of out there movement practice can you take, absorb, remember to help you along the way? So, enough talking. As always, we're going to start off with some nervous system warm ups. If you enjoy the nervous system work, please join us on Friday for CommunityFIT, where we focus on nervous system stuff. If you have a nervous system practice you prefer, go ahead and do that. I will do a brief, abbreviated one that feels right for me and my body today. And remember, for this class and all my classes, and I've just gotten in the habit of saying this, especially as I'm now teaching for the month of June, really from my perspective, from my experience. Remember that I have a neurotypical, physically typical body, meaning my nervous system is pretty typical. I have two arms, I have two legs, two eyes that work, two ears that are fully typically functioning, all of the typical stuff. And that may not be true for you. So as you follow along today or make this practice your own, feel free to shift, change, make your own, whatever it is that you need to do for you. So enough talking. I'm going to kind of scooch back here and let's dive in. So start with your noticing, whatever that may be for today. What's the intent for your next 25, 30 minutes? And then let's go forward. For nervous system regulation, I'm feeling the urge and the need to do some breath work today. And I'm feeling the need to go like super simple. So we're going to do physiological sigh. Physiological sigh is 2 inhales followed by a single long exhalation. In through the nose, out through the mouth if you can, but you make it work however you make it work. I'm going to do a bunch of them. I don't know how many I'm going to need to do today. I never know until I start doing them. So feel free to follow along or shift. Here's what it may look and sound like for you. Double inhale, single exhale. Two more. One more. From there, I'm feeling the urge to do a little sense foraging or orientation. So I'm just going to start to look around the space. And as I do that, to myself, I'm going to name the things in the space objectively. And that may sound like in your space, plant, closet, wall, door, whatever is in your space, mirror, plant, water glass. What's above you, to the right, below, behind you? And then lastly, I'm going to come back to center. I'm just going to do a little bit of a therapeutic touch. Today, it feels like maybe just a chest rub or a little tap. Again, yours might be different. I can't tell you what's going to feel good to your nervous system today. It's for you to kind of explore and play with, discover on your own. Going down into the belly a bit. All right. As I said, we're really going to concentrate today on trunk movement, spinal movement, if we're going to get real nitpicky here. Last week, we kind of covered, as I said, sensory stuff, and we really covered eye tracking movement. And we referred it to movement happening at the very top of the spine, bottom of the skull. So right up at the very top of the neck and those muscles. And if you recall from last week, we said how smart those muscles are. Well, each of those little muscles, tiny little muscles up there, has a lot of nerves per unit of muscle, meaning they're really, really smart. And the way the quality of movement up at the top of your neck really begins to discern and influence the quality of movement throughout the totality of your spine and all of the areas that come off of that spine, meaning your ribs, your shoulders, your hips, your pelvis, all of those areas. So we're going to spend a little time kind of waking up the top of the neck, and it may feel like, wow, we're doing a lot of work up there. But really, once we start thinking about it all the way down, it's the quality of the top of the neck and the way that area moves that influences movement everywhere else. So bring your hands together, get them warmed. We're going to take those nice warm hands, we're going to place them up at the top of the neck. And you can just let the warmth do the work, or you can start off with like a little generic massage. Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being like nothing and 10 being a whole bunch, I'm massaging at about a 2 or a 3, meaning it's a pretty light massage. And now I'm even going up into the base of the skull, kind of like you'll feel 2 bumps at the base of your skull. And I'm even just kind of working in there a little bit, again, at about a 2 or a 3. And then I'm going up the back of the skull. Now I'm just kind of doing some fingertips. And then I'm going to work my way towards like behind the ears a bit, down into the neck again. And if I go behind the ears in that skull area, and then I go behind the ears towards the neck, let's see if I can get it to pop out. These little guys right here begin to activate. You can kind of feel that muscle. And so I'm going to trace those all the way down and then back up. And then I'm going to take maybe my favorite hand and I'm going to play kind of fingertip tap all the way up and down the neck spine. Again, doesn't have to be a lot. It's about a 2 or a 3. I can do both hands. One hand, you make the choice. Next, I'm going to take both hands, warm them up, Big right hand, big heavy right hand on left side of the throat, drags to middle as I twist my face towards the left. Big heavy, big fat left hand, dragging from the right side towards the middle. Big heavy hand, drag. Big heavy hand, dragging. One more each side. Now for this next one, I like to go skin on skin, meaning I'm going to take my right hand and I'm going to put it right on the upper chest, like right where the throat meets the chest. And I do that because that skin on skin provides a little bit of traction. So I'm going to put my hand here, put the other hand on top, and just kind of press into that. So now as I lift my chin, I probably feel some stretch in that throat area. And I'm going to not only lift my chin, but try to reach that chin up towards the ceiling. And then back to center. Again, it's a lift, reach, release. Lift, reach, release. One more. Lift, reach the chin, release. Keep pressing into that. Let your right ear fall over towards your right shoulder. And you'll feel kind of a big stretch on the left side of the front throat. Back to center. Other side. Other side. Other side. And center. From there, and we're going to start off, again, when we talk about spinal movement, often we think cat-cows and big, huge movements. We're going to start a little more subtle. We're going to start from the inside, and then we're going to work our way out to bigger movement. So here's what we're going to do. Take a seat, and we're going to start off with seaweed spine. So it's a right and left movement. Maybe your motivation here, and I call it seaweed spine because maybe your motivation here is imagining your whole spinal column like seaweed in Monterey Bay. Maybe you imagine it as blades of wheatgrass blowing in the wind. Whatever image has a lot of movement to a relatively tall, long stalk of something. As you continue to move, just begin to ask yourself, is my tailbone spine seaweed, or whatever visual you've got going on? Is my pelvic spine seaweed? Is my low back spine seaweed? My rib spine? My neck spine? Often we'll move a lot in one or two areas and kind of overlook the other areas. So this is just an invitation for you to pay attention to what's moving and where is it moving? What's not moving? And how can you get a little more movement in areas that are more reluctant? Now, you can keep going there, or I'll kind of turn to the side here. I can put my hands on my knees and let my spine take the shape of the letter C, and then look up, reach my chest and my chin upward, stick my tailbone out behind me. It's like a reverse letter C. Letter C, reverse letter C. Meaning if you looked at me from the side, my spine is more or less letter C, and then a reverse. And I'm just gonna go slow. And I'm gonna again pay attention to tailbone spine, pelvic spine, low back spine, rib spine, neck spine, all the way through, because often we'll get stuck and only move like mid spine or low back or neck, whatever it is, right? So just kind of paying attention to what's moving and what's not. Doesn't have to be big, doesn't have to be fast, although it could be. Now, you can keep doing that, or we can get a little more specific. Right now, we're just sort of making shapes. C, reverse C. Let your spine relatively take the shape of letter I, so just kind of up and down. Let your neck spine start to take you into that curl, then your rib spine, then your low back spine. Let your tailbone stick out first, low spine, rib spine, neck spine, all the way up in order to go back. Neck spine, rib spine, low back spine, pelvic and tail. Coming out of it, tail first, all the way through neck. Entering back into the shape via the neck, all the way through. And then change your mind. What if it's neck spine, then rib, then low back, finally tail? But on the way back into that shape, it goes tail, low back, rib, and not until the end does neck and head go. Neck and head come out first. And then there's a tuck. Back to center. So as we continue to play with those foundational movements, whether it's a movement side to side, kind of playful, it's a tuck, it's a extend and tuck, or a flex extend, or it's like sequential. What's my low back spine doing versus my neck spine? Those are really good places to kind of stay and play, especially if you are someone who has low back, shoulder, and or hip stuff. For the rest of us, let's go forward. And I said we would start small and then work from the inside out. The quality of movement of the ribs and the spine and all of that is really dependent upon thoracic diaphragm, how much tension is in the psoas, which is sort of muscles that go from way up in your diaphragm into your hips, that really attach to the function and the movement of the kidneys and some of the visceral organs. Some of the upper spine, its movement quality is dependent upon your breath and the movement of the heart and the lungs around each other. It's stuff we don't think about a lot. We kind of default to bones and muscles when we think pain and when we think movement quality. But the movement quality of your internal organs and the way things slide and glide around each other really influences the movement quality of the total body. So here we go. Let's work with the thoracic diaphragm first. Couple of suggestions. Number one, if you want to retrain that area to kind of let go, couple of options. We can go from a breath perspective. You can take a great big inhale, let out all your air. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Squeeze it all the way out. Hold the breath. Keep holding, 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 keep holding. And I can't tell you when to inhale, your body will. And if you just keep holding for long enough, you're going to get that like kind of shaky urge. And then all of a sudden you're going to go. That one got me. You're going to let it all the way out. Great big exhale. Hold the breath. Hold it until you can't hold it anymore. Let your body do that inhale and then keep doing that thing. It will retonify the diaphragm area. Another thing you can do is kind of take your fingers up and underneath the ribs. Now, I find if you sit back a bit and you take one hand, and you just kind of get up and underneath those ribs a little bit. And you just do a little generic massage. You can also do this with like a heated ball. You can do this with a prop laying down on the ground like a ball or something. Really, really, really helpful. Any of those sorts of actions will help to release through here. So if you're someone who has like rib stuff, mid back stuff, shoulder stuff, in particular, pelvic floor issues, hip issues, releasing or working with the diaphragm, super, super helpful. Now, for some other people, it's about kidney area movement. So we're going to revisit something we've done quite a few times in this class. We're going to reach our arms up, left arm reaches and then right arm reaches. Now it's not so far as to stretch. Instead, if you kind of draw a line right here, because on the back side here is where my kidneys are, and I'm just going to get some soft movement here. And maybe I want to do some inhales and some exhales. And I can get some movement going through there. Lastly, for other people, some of that sticky point comes from lungs and heart. And I'm kind of racing through these to give you options. I'll invite you to kind of play with which one do you need, because you probably don't need all three of them. You probably get stuck one area or somewhere else. So down low, kind of right around like bra strap or like low rib if you're getting measured for a suit area somewhere else, or up higher. For up higher, take your right hand, place it where you believe your heart's to be. Take your left hand, put it right over, and we're going to go into a breathing exercise. As you inhale, you're going to allow your left hand, which represents your lung, to kind of blossom open, and your right hand, representing your heart, to get a little bit bigger. Exhale, heart sinks, lung gives heart a hug. Again, on my inhale, left lung gets big, heart gets big, blossoms open. Exhale, I let all the air out, heart shrinks, lung gives heart a hug. It's called a heart hug breath, and it may look and sound a lot like this. You may notice your posture shifts and changes as you go through this exercise. You can do it on the other side, right lung. You can do it with both lungs. Regardless of whichever one you're choosing, what we're doing is playing with the slide and glide of the internal organs. So if one of those or lots of those was difficult, maybe that's where your practice is for today. So again, we've kind of worked on the smart muscles up here. We've worked on big kind of high level movements through the body, getting the slide and glide of some of those internal organs. And so let's start actually articulating and moving through the spine. Here's one of my favorite practices for that. Seated, open up your legs wider than what you're seated, which often invites you to the very front of your chair. Hands go here. And from here, I'm going to let my head go first, then rib spine, and then mid back spine. Now, notice I haven't let go of the arms. I'm kind of resisting because my arms are going to decelerate or resist the movement. As I continue to go down, 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 as far as I would like to go. Then I lift my head, my neck spine, my rib spine, my low back spine, my tailbone spine, and it's like I'm leaning backwards. Now from back here, neck spine, rib spine, low back spine, decelerate. Lifting top to bottom. Going back down, top to bottom. Paying attention to where are you moving well and where are you not. And which of the previous exercises might assist you in moving well through those areas that are less likely to move well? Now, we can do that more, or you can add in some rotation. And as we're adding in rotation, actually through all these exercises, rather than thinking I'm moving my body, the invitation is for you to embody and think about moving joint by joint, bicycle link by bicycle link, necklace link by necklace link. However it is, you've got to think about your spine, right? So I can come here and I can look to my right. I can let my head go down. Notice front arm stays stable, back arm bends, and then I resist. Now I can come up this way as well, or I can go down, switch, and come up the other side. Now, I could rush through this, and we have in this class before. We've just kind of done the thing, so you're primed for this. But again, the invitation today is for you to articulate, spend some time, segment by segment, to help move through there. Not push it, not crunch it, not make it happen, but I don't know about you, but I just got a free spinal adjustment. And all the way back up. Now, again, if that's therapeutic and good for you, keep doing that. For the rest of us, we're going to let our eyes kind of guide and reorganize the movement pattern, meaning I'm going to let my body go forward, look forward. I'm going to let my eyes look to the right. My eyes are going to look to the right as far as they can look. That twists my neck spine. Eyes are still looking. Neck and eyes take rib spine. Rib spine takes low back spine, takes my hips. My eyes are looking, looking, looking. Now, in order to come back, my eyes look to the left. That brings hip spine, low back spine, rib spine, neck spine. Eyes keep looking to the left. It takes my head. It takes my ribs. It takes all of my spine. Pause. Eyes look to the right. That brings back low spine first, all the way to the top. One more each side. Eyes switch. Take some mental effort. Eyes switch. Just come back to the middle. I like to just do like a little sway side to side after that. To wrap up the practice, right? Because now let's review. We've worked this area, we've worked big, we've done some articulations, we freed up some of the viscera that would inhibit some of that spinal movement. We've organized nervous system and spinal rotation. It doesn't, when you're looking back, you're like, oh, it just feels like a pretty relaxed class. There's a lot of nervous system work. So the suggestion here is end by either imagining you've got an invisible hula hoop on, you're just kind of moving the hula hoop up and down the spine, or one of my personal favorite movement practices, and I'm going to stand up for this and move backwards. It's a jiggle. And not only am I jiggling through my legs, through my hips, but in between each vertebra is a little disc, and those little discs are sort of jelly or marshmallowy. Can you jiggle all of the discs? Let all of the viscera jiggle, letting the belly jiggle, the heart, the lungs, everything gets to jiggle. Good work. So We now understand a little bit more on how to move through this area. The week before, we worked top down, sort of sensory, perception-y stuff. Week before that, we worked bottom up. Not only that, we built all these special toolkits. Join us next week where we just sort of let it all go and just do a movement practice to kind of bring in all of the bits and pieces and wrap up what it is we've been exploring here for all of 2024 so far. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you all real soon. Bye, everybody.
Everyone, thank you so much for joining us today on this holiday. I don't know about you, but I have the day off and Raymond has a day off, but we are here for you. James, obviously it's his birthday, so he is enjoying himself. I was going to compliment his haircut, but he wouldn't know that I was doing that because he's not really there. Anyhow, I apologize for the gray boxes. We realized it was the way that we saved the video, and if we would have stopped to try to reshare, it would have just interrupted the video. So we could see him, so we were hoping that that was okay. So thanks again, everyone. I put a couple of links in the chat. So next week is my Men's Health Smart Goals seminar. So that's next Tuesday at 12:15. And I also put a link to the CommunityFIT recordings. Again, these are last year's recordings. We're still working on 2024. But those are there for you if you want to go ahead and copy and paste them. Other than that, enjoy the rest of your Juneteenth. It's a beautiful day, and we will see you on Friday. Thank you.